We drew straws before the event started. Ronnie Brooks drew the long straw, and he's elected to go second. And Larry Smith is going to go ahead and go first. We're going to go ahead and start with a brief candidate introduction. And again, I'll give Mr. Smith the honors on this. Go ahead, Mr. Smith, you've got about 4 or 5 minutes for a candidate introduction.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I am Larry Smith. I've lived in McNairy County my entire life. I've been married to my wife, Carolyn, for 37 years. We have 2 daughters together, Bridget and Amanda Smith. I also have 3 beautiful grandchildren. I've owned and successfully operated Smith Tool Service for 27 years. Now I want to lend my experience to the operation of McNairy County. The years that I've learned, what I've learned over owning and operating my own business, I would like to lend that to the service of McNairy County. I think I'm best qualified because I've made payroll, developed, managed a budget, I've recruited business, supervised employees, and managed the business itself. I've served on the school board as a disaster relief leader and as a volunteer firefighter for the last 27 years. I've lived my entire life in McNairy County. I've worked my entire life side by side with a lot of you individuals that have known me in my entire life. I understand, what it means to work and earn a dollar. I understand what it means to start your business from scratch and earn a living for yourself and your families. I believe that I have a plan that will give those hard-working people that I've worked alongside with an opportunity to make a better living in our county. The first point I'd like to make is common sense and hard work. I think that running your own business takes common sense. If you take a common sense approach, I think you'll go a long way. And I think that's exactly what we need to do in government today. I think we need to take a common sense approach, and if it makes good common sense, it's probably the best thing we can do. The next point I'd like to make is the importance of this election. This is a very, very, very important election. Obviously it is to me and Mr. Brooks also, but the next 4 years will set the course for the future of McNairy County, obviously. Leadership is key to what will happen in this county. It's key to have someone in leadership role with experience behind them that I have. I feel like kind of been there and done that person when it comes to recruiting new business and trying to build the economy. I think the first thing that we need to do is invest in job training and education. We need to work to provide post-secondary education, training that is needed for our businesses and industries. The times have changed. Things are not like they were 40 years ago. We need to look at new ways, new ideals, new facets of life that we can work through and try to move our county forward. Supporting job development with existing industry. 80% of the new jobs that come to this county will come through existing businesses. We already have that infrastructure in place, so it makes sense. It makes only good common sense, as I've said. It makes only good common sense that we would take the approach to reach out to these businesses that are already set in place, that already are functioning well here in the county, and that would be the first step in trying to move the county forward. The next thing would be enhancing our business-friendly environment for new job developers. We can do this through tax breaks, through having shovel-ready property. We need to be ready when growth comes. Unfortunately, we don't have any shovel-ready property in either Selmer or Admiral Industrial Park. But we need to be ready when growth comes to the county so that we'll be able to take advantage of that for the future. I also believe that we need to have a 5-year plan. I certainly believe that we're lacking in that respect. We need to learn how to be reactive rather than proactive. We don't need to wait till something happens, something breaks, and then figure out how we're going to try to fix it. We need to have a plan in place, a proactive plan. And you can't always plan everything that's going to happen in the future, I understand that. But maintenance to our buildings, that's a good example. We need to have a plan in place that would be ready to go and have money set aside for that. I think this can be done through the educating the people and educating the individuals that we work with in the county. I think that if we build a basis for our infrastructure and for our maintenance, that it will move the county light years ahead. I want to work with the city of Selmer mayor, the Admiral mayor, all the incorporated towns, the economic development team and other leaders, I want to try to develop a comprehensive task force to set goals and objectives for moving our county forward. I think that's a very important point. With that, I'll sit down and yield the floor to my opponent, but I appreciate it.
Well, for starters, I would like to thank MRA and Independent Bill for hosting this, but I think the most important thing is you, because you saw the importance to come out and find out what's going on, what direction you want this county to go to. And I think that speaks highly of the group that we have here this evening. For those of you that don't know me, and I think I look through this room and I know just about everybody in here, or we have been at some point. But I'm from McNairy County, been here all my life. I was an educator for about 22 years. My wife, Diane, also was an educator. She was a special ed supervisor in the McNairy County school system. I have 3 stepdaughters, Mandy, Carrie, and Christy. And we lost Carrie in an automobile accident back in 1997, but we have 5 beautiful grandkids. And we're thrilled. And don't get to see them that often, but we've got them. This probably has been the most tremendous honor that I've ever had, is for you, the citizens of McNairy County, to give me a chance to be your county mayor. I was in the circuit court clerk's office prior to this for about 12 years, and I had several people ask me, so why did you choose politics and change careers from education to politics? Well, I didn't really think of it as politics, but I was influenced. I had a grandfather that was very involved in local politics in Chester County, and I saw this from a young age. He was a self-educated man, basically, had an 8th grade education. But the thing that he stressed to me is, he says, it don't matter what you have. He said, education is power. He said, son, do everything that you can to advance yourself, as much education as you can. And obviously it stuck, because I chose a career in education. But the sole reason that I was I could have probably stayed in the circuit court clerk's office and I enjoyed that job. But there was always this opportunity, if it ever came about, that I did want to take it. And that opportunity came about two years ago, well, actually 14 months ago, when Mr. Tenn went to the state as Deputy Commissioner of Agriculture. And I felt like at that time I needed to act on that. And I knew in the back of my mind that there was going to be a short term, and there's a lot of things that need to be done. But that was there. I wanted to do it. And the sole reason was because I wanted to see McNairy County move forward. I've seen potential all my life. We have the most talented people in our community. We have the most intelligent people in our community. Some of the most outstanding business people in our community. I can name entrepreneurs, and I think some of them would come to mind to you right now, that have developed businesses that are second to none. So that is the sole reason that I wanted to run for this office, and to put all my efforts to try to do that, to move this county forward. And I feel like we've done just that at this point. Mr. Smith made a reference to a 5-year plan. We've had a strategic plan in place because of the 3-star program. And the main objective is obviously recruitment of industry and existing industries. And I feel very strongly we've done just that. We've had 3 major expansions, and I'm not going to repeat a lot of things that some of you may have read in the paper, but we've had 3 major expansions in our county in businesses. One is the Spectrum Corporation. That probably will wind up being one of our largest employers in McNairy County. And of course, we've had United Stainless has had a major expansion. We've had the collaboration between Monogram and GE to produce this one-of-a-kind refrigerators that's going to be basically manufactured one-of-a-kind here in McNairy County, nowhere else. So the only thing that can happen is growth. Tourism. That's, believe it or not, we have almost $9 million in tourism is coming to McNairy County. We don't think about that. But, you know, the potential is there. You know, and people talk about the roads and our infrastructure and where we are approximation to, you know, we've got 6445 running through McNairy County and right through Selmer. Yes, we do. But it's going to take, we've got other areas around us that are doing the same thing that we are, trying to recruit industry. There's approximately 87 buildings in West Tennessee out of 27 counties. They range in sizes from 10,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet. So we've got a lot of competition. That doesn't mean we're not going to try. You know, it's going to be a hard effort, but it's worth putting effort there. And I know I'm kind of going a different direction than I intended to, but I just want to kind of basically give you an introduction about myself, but I thought, well, we need to start thinking about where we're going and what we're doing. And I'm going to close my mouth, Christian.
We're going to move right ahead into the question and answer section. Larry Smith will have the honors on the first question. We will rotate back and forth on answering the question first after this question. Mr. Smith, what do you see as the most important aspect of the job of county mayor?
I think that to provide transparency in the office of county mayor is simply building trust with the county commission, with individuals in the county. I think the only way that this office can be successful is to build a relationship with the county commission and the individual committees of that commission, so that at the end of the day, everyone has a clear understanding of what is going on in county government. I really honestly don't believe we have that at this point, and I think that that's the largest contributor that we can contribute to your question.
Mayor Brooks, same question.
Well, I feel like that as a county mayor, obviously leadership is primary. You do have to have that, but you also have to have the vision and the direction and the patience to communicate. Communication, yes, and transparency is important, but I feel like the communication is priority. You know, you've got to be able to sit down, be able to talk to the ones that are on that board, and be able to work through what you need to work through. I feel like also that the most important part of a mayor is to be dedicated to his community and his county. And that, I think, is another priority. Basically, the mayor, I feel like, is a cheerleader for the county. Needs to represent it well, needs to be involved in what's going on in the community and making sure that the needs are met by the citizens of the county. Also, the governing body itself, of course, the mayor is basically the best way to put it is the CEO of the county. He's the executive officer who oversees the budget, makes sure that the budgets are submitted and brought before the county commission for their vote, and to watch after those funds and be conscious, be a good steward of those funds, and to share with the community. And that's what I think. Actually, the budget will come out this weekend in the paper. Thank you, Christian.
For the next question, several residents have expressed to me through their questions that they may not understand the scope or the duties of the county mayor. As county executive, how will you use your position to better McNairy County? Mayor Brooks, you'll have the honor going first for this one.
I guess I basically got into that earlier. Communication with the county, making sure that they understand the issues that are ahead of them, make sure that I made it around to every community in the county, and we did a forum, actually community meetings with each area. And I got a lot of input. Unfortunately, I didn't have as many people come to those community meetings as I would like, but I know times are constraints and there's a lot of issues come about where you can attend. But the ones who did come, I found out a lot of interesting things and what their concerns are and what direction they'd like to see our county go. So I feel like the more you get out in the community and meet with them and ask questions and answer questions, I think you develop a lot more, a better rapport with the community and what the direction we want to go.
Excuse me, I have about a half sore throat tonight, but I think the county mayor has to be a leader beyond measure. I think it has to be someone with the ability to stand up and say no. And obviously they have to be able to say yes too, but I think saying no is much more difficult than saying yes each time. They also have to be someone with a work ethic that is second to none. They also can't keep doing the same thing when things are not working. You know, if something is not working, you know, we need to change the program. As he said, obviously the mayor is the chief financial officer of the county. He's responsible for formulating the budget and making various departments work within that budget. And obviously they oversee the day-to-day operation of the county. But again, I can't stress enough the fact that, you know, we can't keep, in McNairy County, we can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over again if it's not working. In order to move the county forward, we're going to have to change. As I said earlier, we're not living 40 years ago, we're living in today, and we're going to have to change with today's time.
For the next question, in the most recent county budget, several budget items had to be cut. Do you think that if county revenues continue to slip, that taxes will have to be raised in the coming years? And you know, the follow-up to that, what taxes, what area, what taxation form would you like to see instituted if taxes did indeed have to be raised? Mr. Smith, you have the honors of going first in this one.
I think with good leadership and a true vision and a plan for economic growth, we can move the county forward. And I don't think that would be necessary. I don't think the taxes would be necessary. But in a rural, and as I said earlier also, in a rural county like our 80% of the growth is going to come from existing businesses. We can go to work tomorrow on that. We should be working on that every day.
Well, it's kind of difficult to go that direction because obviously vision, we're discussing vision here. It may require no tax. It may require a property tax. It may require a wheel tax. We don't know at this point. But we do know that in the existing 1% growth in our tax rate over the past 3 years, you know, that is slow growth. So it's difficult to say what direction we would need to go there because we do know right now economic development is a priority. I think most of you in this room realizes that there is a cost attached to that. You know, the industry does not, they will not pay us to come. In other words, the tale you've heard, like build it, they will come, it doesn't work that way. It's industry is looking, and in most cases, looking for facilities that are already existing, which we at this point we don't, which we're fortunate. We have buildings in the county, most of our buildings in the county are occupied. We've actually been able to get industry into a lot of those buildings. We do have some in Addison's Industrial Park that are available. But that investment comes with a cost. And again, you know, once we kind of get an idea and our head wrapped around which direction we want to go, then we'll kind of have an idea of what we have to do.
The next question. Recently our wheel tax in the county expired. Leaving McNairy County is one of the few counties in Tennessee without a wheel tax. My question for each of you is, are you in favor of instituting a new wheel tax in the county? And if so, what areas of the budget would you like to see funded with that wheel tax? Mayor Brooks, you have the honors on this one.
Well, Christian, a wheel tax can only be instituted by the legislative body. You know, as mayor does not have that authority to institute a wheel tax. But in the event that it did, that the county commission wanted to go that direction, obviously the main things we need to focus on would be, obviously roads would be a priority. We're about 11 11 years out of a major road program where we actually now those roads are beginning to show signs of wear and tear. There's 700, our deals here, it's about 780 miles of roads that we have to monitor, and those are beginning to show signs of wear and tear. Obviously, economic development, industrial growth, that would be part of one of if a wheel tax was instituted. Education, we need to look very carefully in the direction that we're going to go with education. Obviously, that's the future of our county, the educated workforce. Actually, the operation of the county itself is important, and funding for that, because as our costs, obviously, our taxes don't go up, but our costs for services do, and I think we need to, that is something that we need to be considering. Thank you.
I am not in favor of a tax increase. How can you tax an already burdened economy or already burdened society? The situation in McNairy County is serious. I understand that, there's need for revenue, but I guess that's where we differ. I believe there's a better way. I wanted to read you what the TCA 58102 says about a wheel tax. A wheel tax, according to TCA 58102, is said from the state website, it's a skillful but temporary budgetary maneuver to balance expenditures against revenues. There's other options for doing that. I think first of all, we need to study our debt service capacity and consider the growth of our tax base, whatever that might be. And also, the real answer is jobs here. The real answer is grow the economy through jobs, grow the tax base through jobs. I have a plan that I believe will take care of the downward spiral that we're seeing. Quite honestly, we've lost 530 jobs in the last 16 or so months in McNairy County. You can go to the state Tennessee Department of Labor website, do the math from the top to the bottom there, we've lost 530 jobs. I don't know how we can want to tax a people when we have that many people out of work. I was in the south end of the county this past week and met with an individual in a wheelchair. When I walked up, he was sitting out on the shade tree, and I could see he was in a wheelchair, obviously, but I couldn't tell what, he had something laying across his lap. I couldn't tell what it was from behind him. When I walked on around, I could tell his right leg was off below his knee. His left leg was off above his knee. He was strapped in a wheelchair, and he had his weed eater laying across his lap. And he explained to me that he was weed eating his yard, and he said he mowed his yard too, like that. Then as we got into discussion about obviously voting for me, the discussion led to, his health, his wife's health, and so on like that. He shared with his wife was terminal with cancer. And the first thing that man said to me was, what are you going to do about taxes? He said, we are paying all we can pay. He said, we have to choose between the groceries and medicine each month. Another example, in the north end of the county where I live, a lady came to my shop, I don't know, some month ago or so, when she found out I was running for county mayor. She said, Larry, she said, I've known you all your life. She said, I know what you stand for, I know what you are. She said, I draw $457 a month. She said, my water and sewer bill is $120+ a month. She said, my light bill is about $100 a month. Her question to me was, how can I pay a wheel tax when this discussion came up some time back? And I told her, I said, well, I understand your burden, I understand your problem. But, we don't need to blame or put the burden on these people of blame when we have a situation in our county that needs to be fixed. The obvious problem here, folks, is jobs. The obvious problem is we need somebody that's going to get out here, beat these streets, beat these doors, go visit with these people twice a year, 3 times a year, 20 times a year, whatever it takes, to see that we get jobs. Again, I can't stress enough, jobs is an answer. Build the economy through the tax base through jobs. 80% of the jobs in this county will be built through the existing business we have. We're going to have to work harder. We're going to have to ask these people, what kind of feeder jobs are you farming out somewhere else? What can we do? So my answer is no. I am not in favor of tax increase.
For the next question, many areas of the county have currently have an unfavorable ISO rating. This directly impacts the homeowners insurance rates for all citizens in those areas. What do you think can be done to lower these ISO ratings? And are either of you in favor of either instituting a full-time county fire chief or increasing spending on emergency services, or both? Mr. Smith, you have the honors on this.
This is an issue that's dear to my heart. I've got my pager on here. As I said, I've been on the fire department for 27 years. I understand. When we started the fire departments 27 years ago, the county actually did, and they asked us to build one in McNairy community. Of course, we stepped up to the plate and we did that. At that point in time, we were almost at the point of being uninsurable with our homeowners coverage. We're almost at that point again, folks. Out in the county, our ISO rating is a 9. The next step is a 10. When you get to a 10, most insurance companies will not insure you. And again, this goes right back to putting the burden where it belongs. It will not take a large investment on the county's part to change this ISO rating. It's mostly paperwork. We've done the pump test before. We have done the water shuttles before. We've done the legwork. We have our training records, and most credible fire departments will have all the records that's necessary to submit to the state to get the ISO rating lower. The problem we have is leadership of the county, I think, has dropped the ball on it. You know, we need to say things as they are. The facts are this. If you do the math, and I've talked to 4 insurance companies, 3 out of the 4 have saved the average homeowner 25 to 30% on your insurance. Then if you do the multiplication on that by the number of houses we have in McNairy County, you're talking about $2 million, over $2 million. This is money that is costing the taxpayers of McNairy County every year. This money's going out of McNairy County that could be used to buy gas, to buy groceries, to buy that lady's medicine I was talking about a while ago. This is where I differ with folks. We need to stand up and be accountable. We need to tell the straight of things. We need to be straightforward about this. We need to deal with it because it's an injustice to the people of McNairy County for the way this has been handled.
Well, Mr. Smith has talked about jobs, and he's talked about the economy of the county. Okay, what we're talking about here is funds, ladies and gentlemen. It is, there's funds involved with anything that you do in county government. It costs money. Now, I agree that we can, yes, that is one of my priorities. And it's almost impossible with other major issues that are coming up within the county. We were hit with at least 3 to 4 issues when I first came in office 14 months ago. So this, yes, it is a priority, but also it takes funding. Yeah, I understand it will require a full-time fire chief, and I'm well aware of that. And I understand what's involved as far as the training goes. But again, it is an issue of funding. And then we have to expand the tax base. Yes, we do need to extend the tax base. And that's an effort that we make every day to try to extend the tax base, because if you don't have retail in the communities or in the county, your sales tax obviously is going to suffer. We have one major sales tax motivator in our county, and that's Walmart. Thank goodness we do have a car dealership at this point. That's going to help a great deal as far as sales tax go. But again, you know, we're still talking about an expense, and with other issues coming up. And I know I have talked to several people in the community about the ISO rating, and I'm very well aware of what the issue is. But direction is coming. But it just does take time. Thank you.
One more thing, Christian.
Yes, sir.
You know, I've been reluctant to say this, but Mr. Brooks, the first conversation we had 2 years ago with McNairy Central High School in the cafeteria, David McCullough was sitting at the table with me. The first discussion we had when you decided to run 2 years ago was about the county fire departments. I talked to you about this very situation then. I talked to you about the fact that we don't have any personal safety equipment. Most of the safety equipment we have, when we send these guys out, is dated back to 1987 when the fire departments began. I talked to you about that then. You said, you just made a statement, and I want to clarify that. This is a top priority. Why has the budget been cut the last 2 years? for the county fire departments, and if it's a top priority, why has nothing been done? This is a minimum investment that we're talking about here. We discussed that at McNairy Central High School when you came to that fundraiser that night and picked up some meals for you and your wife. And I want to be honest with folks, you know, and I want to know why myself, and quite honestly, I think the people of McNairy County ought to be mad about the situation with county fire departments, because it's taking money out of their pockets, it's taking food off their table, and mentioning out of their cabinets in some cases.
Mr. Smith, we said earlier, you know, I'm the chief executive officer of that budget, and I have to stay within the constraints of that budget, and I have to stay within what our tax base brings in. And when we get together with that budget committee, that is a very serious moment, because we have to go and scrutinize every line item through there to make sure that we've got enough monies to balance that budget. And when we get down to it, and it's never easy to make cuts in any description, but the money is not there. And it's not that it is not big government, and I've heard this before, about far as cutting back on departments. We cut back almost 5% to each department in our county this year, close to 5% that they had to cut. So in order just for us to still provide what services that we do have. I'm not saying that yes, it is a priority, Mr. Smith, and I'm not denying that. But I also, in the same sense, I have to understand if the money is not there, you don't spend money that you don't have. And that was my concern.
I understand about budgets. Nobody in this room understands better about budgets probably than I do, except for Jim Griffin back there. And I understand about budgets. But if we got an issue in the county that's costing the county taxpayers over $2 million a year in exorbitant insurance rates, and it's happening, guys, we're gonna be right back at the point we can't buy homeowners insurance again. This is a perfect example of what the statement I made earlier about our debt service capacity. You know, if it'll save the taxpayers of the county that kind of money, we need to figure out a way to do it. That's a true leader.
We do have county debt, and yes, we do have debt service. But to me, our priority is obviously to pay our debts that we have. In 2015, we will have just all of our debts resolved. But at this point, debt service we don't want to dip into that, obviously, because we want to make sure that we are good stewards and that we do take care of our debts. And I'm not in favor of going in that direction at all.
That service payment for the school system doesn't pay off until 2017.
You need a moment to rebut, sir.
But the majority of that debt will be gone by 2015.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question at this point. There are many people in the county that believe that McNairy County has a large potential for untapped tourism. If elected, what will either of you do in the next term to expand tourism within McNairy County? I believe Mayor Brooks has the honors. I lost track at this point, I'm sorry.
As I said earlier, tourism is a major factor in our county that we don't realize. It's a resource that we don't take, that sometimes we do take for granted. I'm in favor of a major campaign to promote what we do have to offer, not only locally but regionally in our county. And when I say major campaign, that means requiring getting some more of the community involved. A committee of concerned citizens with an interest in tourism. And we made this comment before. We have some regionally. We've got obviously the river, but we also have the Shiloh National Park, which is probably one of the most pristine parks in the country. It's right here in the back door. We've got obviously the Buford Buster legend. I don't know if we've ever really expanded or either capitalized on that. I know we have the historic jail. We have a museum in there. We have the museum in Addisville, and I don't know if we've really actually tapped what we could actually do with that. We have this connection with the Rockabilly. The festival is growing every year. You know, Rockabilly Highway runs right through here, and it has a tremendous potential for tourism. The festival, as I said, our entertainment, local entertainment. We had a presentation for inductees into the Hall of Fame, Rockabilly Hall of Fame, and our local talent is unsurpassed. And so there's a lot of things that I think that we could do to promote McNairy County a lot better, and that's what I plan to do.
Tourism is a big business in McNairy County, and I believe, like Mayor Brooks said there, that we certainly need to market to full capacity. That being said, I don't know much else I can say about it, but thank you.
Gentlemen, we may have already covered this question thoroughly, but what would you say distinguishes yourselves from the other candidate that is running for this position? Mr. Smith, you have the honors to answer the question first.
I believe the stark difference in me and my opponent is their stand on taxes, their stand on the views of the economic state of the county, the fact that we need to increase jobs, increasing jobs will increase our tax base. You know, I see a downward spiral here. And quite honestly, this gets into what I wanted to use for closing, but the downward spiral, folks, has got to be stopped. You know, losing 530 jobs in 16 months. We can't continue the trend that we have now. And quite honestly, I think that's the answer. I think the answer is building the county through jobs, build our tax base. We'll have the revenue to do what we need to do. I understand that, you know, there has to be cuts made. I understand there's problems in the county, but there is things that we can do to reach out to this community and move it forward.
Thank you, sir.
I feel like that I've got the communication skills. And that's what I have been trained all my life as a teacher and as a public servant. You've got to open your ears, you've got to listen to your public, and you've got to try to go the direction that you need to go. And I feel like that I can bring that to the table. I feel like I can communicate with just, we can sit down and we can talk and try to move any direction we can. I have a great relationship at this point with all the entities that are involved in economic development, in our tourism. I have seen so much happen in the last few months, and I want to share this with you. You're hearing a lot of negative, that there's a downward spiral. Right now, out of 8 counties, McNairy County has more going on, and this is from the Economic Development Office in Nashville, more going on in this little county here than anywhere in the other 7 other counties that are in our district. So that tells you something. If the state thinks that, you know, y'all got a lot of good things going on, I know you do not see. You don't see these things. These are all behind the scenes things that are going on, the industries that we're making contacts with. But you also have to remember, as I said earlier, we're competing with 27 other counties in West Tennessee for industry. Jobs, I agree. That's one thing me and Mr. Smith agree with. But that is not as easy as it sounds. Again, you're talking about getting the community. You have to have investments. You're going to have property. The best example I can give you, because I had somebody come up to me and says, why can we not have a Toyota plant in McNairy County? And I said, I would love to see it happen, but we should have started 15 years ago. You know, you've got to plan that far back. Because I can give you 2 examples. One of them is in Mississippi. That's an 8-year project for them to get that plant to Mississippi. It didn't happen overnight. Haywood County, 3,800 acre mega site. 8 years. Still working on it. 15 years, it finally, Volkswagen came to Chattanooga. So it's not as easy as it sounds. I do agree with Mr. Smith. Expanding the local industry, yes, we've got to. That is the growth of our county, is the existing industries that we do have. We have, and as I said, United Stainless, Monogram, GE, I just went blank, that's terrible. Spectrum Oil Company, which just was purchased by Philip Petroleum, which is, what they're looking at is a 24/7 operation. A 24/7 operation, what does that mean? Jobs. So if that goes into effect, we're hoping that's what's gonna happen. That's what their plan is. So yes, creation of jobs, but you've got to work with, and again, communicating with those industries, giving them the tools that they need to expand, and that's what we're doing. Thank you.
Our final question for the moderator portion of the evening is more of a philosophical question. Again, Mayor Bush will have the honor of answering this first. What role should local government play in the daily lives of its citizens?
The services that are provided by the county is what is the use of their tax dollars, basically. And I feel like to working with the citizens of McNairy County and getting, and finding out what their needs are, finding out what their concerns are. And I feel like that's what my job will be. You know, that my phone rings, I answer it. I talk to the people who have concerns, and I feel like that's what a county mayor has to do. You have to know what is going on within your county with the people that you work for. And as I said, I work for you. And I love this county, and I will do everything I can to move it forward. And I feel like that's what I'm going to give to the citizens, and that's what I feel like you elected me for.
I believe that being in business, you understand more and more what the office of county mayor means in respect of standing on the backside of the counter in my business, customer service. You understand what customer service satisfaction means. This office is no different than standing behind the counter in my shop, going out on the job site at Procter & Gamble or 40K Jackson, listening to their concerns about, what we can do about saving money or what works better, fits better for them. You have to be able to change. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to be creative. I understand that, there's issues that in the county that need funding. And I know this is a little off track, but funding requires somebody with ability to look out of the box, somebody that can find ways to do it when it seems impossible. And I think from being in business as I have been, that's what I'm bringing to the table more than anything else. The ability to do that. By saying that, I think that answers your question very well.
Thank you, sir. That concludes the audience, the moderator portion of the evening. We're going to take a very brief break, come back in just a few minutes, and we're going to do the audience participation portion of the evening. Thank you very much. Testing. I'd like to let everybody know that there is refreshments available during the break. Once we come back, we will take audience questions for each candidate. Thank you very much.